So today I was going to post the thrown no bonuses of the Chocolina stage, but then I decided that this is probably a little bit more important, and I'm not waiting until I can get these characters in order to be able to show this off. So, anyways, what we're going to be talking about today is which of these 5 UZ plus you should be getting, because you can only get one, for now at least, until QQ3, and you never know at this point, honestly. You never know what this game's gonna do. Because, oh boy, they made some terrible decisions, but also some questionably good decisions. So, first, in order to understand which of these characters you should be getting, you need to understand that the choice is just between Yotsuba and Miku. These other three, I mean, Itsuki is good on paper until you realize she's Itsuki. And therefore, does not work on the Brave team because Itsuki is already there. And if you do just put her on the team anyway and have both of them, well, then you remove either Idol Mera or Megumin, and that's just a really bad idea. I can tell you that much, because Brave is absolutely cracked with both of them. Getting rid of either one of them is just not a good idea. And personally speaking, the team gets a whole lot worse when you do. So now that we figured that out, which one should you pick between Yotsuba and Miku? In terms of pure meta, you have all of the characters in the game with their normal LBs, stuff like that. It's easily Yotsuba. Yotsuba hits as hard as Agaha does. Let me go find Agaha real quick. So, Agaha is used on the Heartful team because she's LB tenable and has the Fever Power skill. She hits like an actual truck. So with like Orihime Natsuomi support, in order to like inflate 4 to get like 2 more of her ultimates, she does crazy damage, like actually. And Yotsuba just does that for free, as long as you put her in the center trait and get the 3% damage buff. She has also got Fever Fill and has a Revive. So, and the thing is, because Agaha only hits this hard because of the Fever power buff that goes away outside of Fever time, she just kind of hits a little bit harder than Santa Natsuomi. Yotsuba, on the other hand, probably hits just a decent little bit harder, which makes her really good as a finisher Soultimate. So basically, Yotsuba is just Agaha, but instead of the Easy Link, she's got Revive. So really, really good. And Heartful doesn't really have a Revive on the main team. Like, their main team is Summer Setsuna, Santa Natsuomi, Dolyu, Agaha, and then Orihime Natsuomi. So just replace Agaha with freaking Yotsuba, and then the team's just better. I still think they're like the 3rd worst team in the game. That's just because they got tough competition nowadays. But now they'd be easily better than Eri, like by far. However, most people don't have that peak Heartful team. So then Miku becomes a little bit more of an interesting option. Also, why is this at a 12? Like, why is Nino out of 11 and Miku out of 12, but everyone else is at a 10? I mean, the overview's not here, so I guess that'll be fixed by then, but that's just pretty funny. So, Miku is a Link Big EX popper with Afterfill. Afterfill is also slightly better. It used to be 42% for UZs, now it's 46%. It doesn't really matter right now because she's got Link Big, but I mean, it can save you a link you have to do for the G Soultimate, I guess, which I guess is cool. So, like, if you don't have the peak Heartful team, it's a little bit more interesting to have Miku. So, I have this little QQ flowchart that I made in like 5 minutes. And basically, all you do is start at the top and answer yes or no to these questions. This one's a little specific. We'll get there in a minute. You answer yes or no to these questions, and it'll tell you which one you should get. So, the easiest question: do you have Summer Setsuna? A freaking... this one right here. Do you have this character? If yes, get Yotsuba, because then you have the character that makes Heartful usable. If no, then go to this next question. Do you have Halloween Jane? Now, this should have like a 3rd answer that I should have put, but it's pretty simple. If the answer is no, just go down to this one. If the answer is yes, but you do not have a good Extreme Popper, Extreme Poppers would be... I forgot I made the pause button the P button. So, good Extreme Poppers would be Punigami Kagare, Toru, Lolita Pecora, wherever she may be. You've seen me use her all the time. You know who she is. Or Perfect Shion. If you have either one of those four, then Miku being a use. If you don't have either one of those four, then Miku would be a good option. But it's kind of a little more specific because if you're planning to make Miku the UZ plus, you obviously need Miku, and even just as a regular UZ rank, she works fine because she doesn't like give more combo as a UZ plus. Like she just does like maybe 20k more damage and gets 4% extra afterfill. It's not necessary to make her the UZ plus. Meanwhile, with Yotsuba, one of her two strengths is hitting as hard as Ageha. Her second strength is having the revive. If you take away the UZ plus rank, she no longer hits as hard as Ageha and is then worse than Ageha because, well, maybe. I don't know if the revive Soultimate will do as much damage as just Ageha's pure extra power, but you shouldn't have to think of that situation. So, if you have Halloween Jane, but don't have any sort of good EX popper, then Miku is a better option. Probably. Just because you have Halloween Jane, you might as well go all out with the Shady. So, if you don't have Halloween Jane, do you have a good Shady core? A core is like good main members. For example, a good Shady core, normally, if you don't have Halloween Jane, would be QB right here, Suisei, Black Hole Asu, and then like I guess Eddie, Galapion also works, Dark Dragon works, and then the new Double Z Miku also works, who also has Unity. So having those four would be good, but if you don't have them, I guess like Dark QB, still Black Hole Asu, Hina Zol could work, Eddie, just some of the unities. Mainly you want Dark QB and then Black Hole Asu. You have either of those two, then make Miku the UZ plus. If you don't have either of them, you have a good Heartful core without Summer Setsuna. So basically, if you have these three right here and then either one of these two, then get Yotsuba. If you don't have any of them, or you don't have like, you can replace this with some sort of Heartful EX popper. I guess it doesn't really matter. Omatsu, she's bad, but you can use her. She can work because I have no bonus to throne with her. So, but basically, if you don't have Santanatsu or Noelle, you need both of them. If you don't have either of them, then just get Miku because Miku will be more beneficial at some point. Very, very simple. So, hopefully you could have answered that. So, if you have good enough Shady members and do not have Summer Setsuna, get Miku. If you don't have good Shady members but have some good Heartful members, get Yotsuba. If you have Summer Setsuna, get Yotsuba. It's very simple like that. But what if you don't pull either Miku or Yotsuba? Well, then you're kind of boned because the rest of these three options really aren't that good. Let's start with Itsuki because she's the one that people would probably get the most mad at for me calling not good. So she's a Soultimate filler, where using other Soultimates can fill her own Soultimate, and she's got Drop Big. However, she's on the team with, obviously, herself. She's the best Fever Extender. It's very simple because she has Fast Fever, Afterfill's pretty nice for spammability, and she's a Fever Extender. She's also a UZ rank. She had OBs. The next best option would be KJ, I guess. KJ is a Fever Extender with Redrop, and Large Puni can fill his own Soultimate. Like, as you can see, the bar is pretty low to be a good Brave Fever Extender. If we go to Triple Z's, Blazion is kind of... He's good. He's got Easy Link, Fever Fill, and is a Fever Extender. So, like, he's the next best one. But, obviously, Itsuki is way better because she works actually decently well with Megumin. Because Megumin takes like 20 seconds to get the explosion off. So the fact that Itsuki doesn't have Fever Fill doesn't really matter because you're waiting for the explosion to go off anyways. And it also works pretty well with Idol Mera because Idol Mera buffs Itsuki and friggin' Megumin. And Megumin does like 700,000 damage or something like that. Maybe like 600,000. I don't know. Mine's OV10. I've kind of forgotten what she's supposed to be able to do. But Mara does like 400k per Soultimate. Like when she's maxed out. She is very ridiculous. So replacing any one of those characters with Itsuki just makes the team a whole lot worse. If you replace if you replace a Fever Extender Itsuki with this, then you don't have a Fever Extender, and now your damage is gutted. If you replace Mara, your damage is gutted. If you replace Megumin, your damage is gutted, and you don't have a revive. You don't have to waste time getting the Soultimate, but doing like 600, 700k in one Soultimate, I think is a whole lot more worth it than a Soultimate filler on the team with Mara, who's kind of just self-sustainable. You can get 3 Soultimates of her own, like, pretty easily. So, Itsuki is good on paper, but not good enough for Brave. And plus, like, Union Kenma exists, so he's got Link Big, so he can work fine by himself. You don't really need this at all. So then, if you don't get her still, and you somehow get the chocolates, Ichika would be the next best option. People are like, oh, Nino would be better. You're stupid. You're an idiot. Genuinely. So the thing with Ichika, she's just mediocre, just in general. She's an all-popper rearranger. She has fast fever, and she has pre-fill. So, in terms of... What do you want? In terms of what she's able to do, she's a fast fever, which I guess is cool. But at the same time, so is Beatrice. Right here. Beatrice is freaking... Why is she named Betty? I don't know. I haven't watched the show. Beatrice is a select popper with fast fever and Link Big. You might think, haven't you said select poppers just kind of suck? But she's one of the good select poppers because she drops her own Puni down. I don't know if Triple OPC did this. I don't care. Triple OPC was a terrible damage dealer because he just kind of got in the way. But you can take advantage of that with Beatrice because Aqua exists. Every time you get into fever time, you can heal 700 HP. And considering she's got fast fever, drops herself down and can basically get her own Soultimate for free out of herself. And she's got LB10. She kind of hits decently well and can spam fever time. So she just kind of does it a whole lot better than Ichika does. And Ichika is also like one of the best EX poppers for Mysterious because she's got Easy Link, pre-fill, and is an extreme popper. I think that this is wrong. This is for Triple Z, but this is a UZ. Unless she did have 7 LVs, which I don't think so, because the other ones had 3. So, just want to point that out. Anyway, so because Ichika is a good EX popper, you don't really want to be bringing her on the team. And the center trait boosts Quintessential Quintuplet characters. Boosting her damage by 4% really does not do anything. Same with any of these characters. None of these characters... Their center trait is essentially just a self-buff. It's good for Yotsuba because, more damage is crazy. Same with Miku, I guess, but like 5% extra damage is pretty insane. But yeah, Ichika is just kind of mediocre. So if you physically just cannot get any of the other 3, then I guess go for Ichika. But then we get to Nino. Honestly, it might be better to just not even make her the UZ+. It might just save in the hopes of a Quintessential Quintuplets 3. Because, good lord, what did they do to her? So, she's what's referred to as a stacking law popper. It's a reference to Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Basically, once you use her Soultimate, she gets a little bit stronger. And then once you've used her from the 3rd time, from then onward, she does her maximum amount of damage. The thing with this Soultimate type is that it hits very mediocre at the start, hits kind of decently in the middle, and then hits, like, good, I guess, maybe, from then on. You have to use her at least 3 times for her damage to be good. You want to know what her kit doesn't do? Let her be used 3 times. She has redrop. It's a 19% chance now, which I guess can kind of work decently with Arachnus with his 17% chance, because that gets like, what is that, a 36% chance for redrop? That could work well decently, I guess. And then popping Large Puni has a 70% chance to fill her own Soultimate gauge. You want to know what the problem with her is? She's Eerie, which is the same tribe as Arachnus. Arachnus is the reason Eerie is the second worst team in the game. Because he is a Soultimate filler that cannot get his own Soultimate. And if you have the Fever fill or pre-fill, he loses the Unity and therefore becomes bad again. So there's just no winning with Arachnus. He's actually just such a pain to deal with. And you already kind of have to deal with Taicho Rei, who doesn't have any sort of thing himself, but because he's got freaking Fast Fever, you want a ton of him on the board anyway, so he can at least get his ultimate through that. Arachnus can't. And then if you bring Nino, Nino can't. But the worst part about it is the fact that in order to even put Nino on the team, you have to get rid of Clone BD. You want to know what this guy does? Probably, at least. He probably does the same damage that Nino does when she's fully built up, and he just does it from the start. He also makes the Fever Extender in Jingi, Jingi, the Fever Extender, he makes him hit harder. And he also makes Taicho Rei hit a little bit harder, and makes himself hit harder. And also gets Fever Fill. So he has his Soultimate ready. So once you get his Soultimate a second time, you've done so much more damage than Nino could ever. You can't get a third Nino Soultimate. It is actually such a terrible design. I don't know what they were thinking. It's actually ridiculous. So in conclusion, if you have Summer Setsuna, get Yotsuba. If you don't, pretty likely you're going to have to get Miku. Unless you got like these three and then one of these two. If you have neither Miku nor Yotsuba, then I guess get Itsuki, I guess. If you don't have Itsuki, get Ichika. And if you don't get Ichika, you're bum out of luck because then you might get stuck with Nino and she's just not very good. So anyways, I hope you get the character you're looking for. And yeah, hope you found this useful. Yeah. Bye.